It's the afternoon of Tuesday, March 24th, 2020, and unless you have been living under a rock, you already know what's happening pretty much worldwide, certainly nationwide, and hopefully within your own state. As of this morning, 16 states are in various conditions of stay-at-home orders. Michigan's governor just issued Executive Order 2020-21 yesterday, which is a stay-at-home order that is allowing only critical businesses to continue to operate, food stores, pharmacies, and so forth. Of course, public safety workers are still out there. Many people have been told don't go into work. Some of those are fortunate enough to be able to work from home, and some are fortunate enough to be able to stay home without having to work and without having to worry about a paycheck. But there are many out there who are staying home, not working, and worried about how they're going to make the next mortgage payment. Schools are closed. That means kids are home. So again, unless you've been living under a rock, you know all that's happening. So we're not here to talk about the COVID-19 epidemic. We're here to talk about what you can do and what we're going to do. So what's happening in your world, and what's going to be happening on Riders Range? Stick around, we'll tell you. In Michigan, the governor has shut down things, as I mentioned, although encouraging people to get out and recreate. However, well, let's see, 16 states shut down. However, national parks and state parks closed to coronavirus. There's a list of them down here. Many national park sites, many state park sites. Michigan, the DNR is closing the state park campgrounds and closing the lodging facilities, but the parks themselves remain open. Our local metro parks, the offices are closed, the playgrounds are closed, but and all of the programming is closed, but the parks themselves are still open. So kind of hard to get out and recreate if there's not a whole lot of places to do it. But again, you can still get out to most of your parks and at least spend some time out there. If you're homeschooling your kids, now's a great time to get them to unplug the electronic devices, take them out and teach them a little about nature. Now up here, kind of hard to identify trees by the leaves, but you can look at identifying trees by the bark and the shape of the tree. Look at some of the other vegetation that's starting to crop up. Look at natural wildlife and their habitat. There are a lot of things that you can do with the kids and learn yourself when you take them out. Great way to spend some family time bonding together. Of course, I always recommend shooting, getting out and take the family shooting, go out and practice your skills yourself. A couple of problems with that nowadays. There are a number of ranges that are closed. My local range here has closed, and they're not even sure if they can open to retail business at this point. I checked the outdoor ranges, and the ranges run by the Department of Natural Resources are all closed. There are local clubs around. A lot of them are closed. So unless you're fortunate enough to have a range in your side yard or be near some property where the farmer or the landowner will let you set up targets and shoot, then shooting may not be so much of an option. Plus, you may not have stockpiled ammunition yet. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. A lot of things you can do, though. You can dry practice, and by dry practice I don't mean dry fire, I mean dry practice. Some basic rules on that. Please, you already know them, but indulge me while I go over them one more time again. And that is, make sure that there is absolutely no ammunition in the gun, chamber or magazine. Double check and triple check. In fact, have somebody else check for you just to make sure. The best thing to do is have no ammunition or even magazines in the room where you're doing your dry practicing. If you've got a semi-automatic pistol that won't function without a magazine in, okay, just be very, very careful with that. I do recommend dry practicing with snap caps, but again, you've got to be very, very careful to make sure that you don't mix up snap caps and live ammunition. And one real critical rule here, even if you followed all of the other safety practices, every time you snap the trigger on a firearm, make sure that it's pointed in a direction where if it happens to go bang, that it's not going to hurt anyone. Real quick war story on that. A number of years ago, many years ago, when we were carrying revolvers on the department, we switched to our practice and qualification ammo with the same velocity as the .357 ammo we were carrying. That didn't make a lot of people real happy because a lot of people were having trouble qualifying. So we started talking about dry practicing, and we tried to instill that at every qualification session. We had one person, I'm not going to mention his name or where he came from, but he was a retired command officer from another department, and he was in charge of our motor pool. So he was doing exactly what we had suggested. He was dry practicing with his revolver. And he unloaded it, did his dry practice, loaded it up, and as soon as he got it loaded, the phone rang. So he put his gun down on the desk, got done with his phone conversation, finished business, picked up his gun and said, what was I doing before the phone rang? Oh yeah, I was dry practicing. Picked it up, touched the trigger, and bang, one shot through his office window, across the garage, lodging in the steel door on the other side. And the department got a little more concerned about following the rules of dry practicing. Please don't let that happen at home. Let's see, you can do some other things. Inventory. If you haven't already, let's see here. You can do a record of all of your firearms. I keep one up on Microsoft Word with a full history of every gun I've got, what it meant to me when I got it, and some basic information about it. I also keep a detailed inventory on Microsoft Excel. Type it is, I can sort it by type, the make, the model, the serial number, the caliber, the purchase date, where I got it from, how much I paid for it, what it's valued, and any other particular notes on it. So now's a good time to do an inventory. We also, let's see, I've been doing a photo inventory. So these are all in a book and also on electronic and stored on and off site. Picture of every gun, picture of the serial number, some more information about it. So all of that stuff is available. So if you haven't started doing an inventory of your firearms, now's a good time to do it. Inventory your ammunition. Well, I hope you have enough to inventory at this point. And if you don't, please let this be a lesson that things like this can crop up at any time. You need to have a decent stock of ammunition, all the calibers that you may want to shoot. Let's see, some other things. Oh, clean your guns. That's always everybody's favorite topic. Actually, some people really love cleaning guns. I can't say that I'm one of them. I do have a number of guns that I have to clean. Now's a good time to detail strip those guns instead of just field stripping them. YouTube police run by, what is it, Gen Xers or millennials or whatever are not into the whole firearm stuff, so YouTube police really don't want people showing how to actually take apart firearms beyond just field stripping them. You may or may not be able to find videos on that. There are certainly books out there available on it. So good luck when you do that. Just make sure you count the pieces and even photograph it as you're taking it apart if you haven't taken your gun detailed down to the last pin or piece. Speaking of books, that's something else you can do. Read about your firearms. A couple of good books here. This is a good book that I finished here not too long ago. This is the Custom 1911 by Bill Loe with a little accent mark over it. I'm going to pronounce it Loeb. Very good book, very interesting, relatively up to date, but also a very excellent book. Of course, you know I'm into 1911s. Really great book. This is 1911, The First 100 Years, second edition by Patrick Sweeney. And Patrick may not remember me, but I remember him from a long time ago. He was local back in the 70s. Very good writer. Some people may take issue with his style. I love his style. I love his sense of humor and the way he puts words together. A couple of real good books, and they should be still available on Amazon. The 1911 First 100 Years second edition is available in the Kindle edition right now for like $11 on Amazon. Apparently there's one hard copy left in stock. It's about a $50 book. But again, there's lots of really good reading out there. And now's the time to, you got a little extra time on your hands, to read more about your favorite firearms in general. It's always good things to do. Let's see, now is also a good time to plan ahead. And if you're running out of ammo right now, or you don't have the gun that you think you need to have, plan ahead for the next time and make sure that once the ammo situation stabilizes, pick up some ammo. Make sure that you've got a decent supply on hand so that you don't have to curtail your practice. You don't have to, or you have to cut down some on it, and you're not going to run out of your home defense or your carry ammunition. Which of course brings us into another way to do it, and that's reloading. You may not be into reloading, and now may be a good time to start. I checked Brownells and Dillon and a couple other sites, and presses are still available, dies are available. Only thing we're starting to run into a problem with now is components. Fortunately, I stocked up on primers, powder, and bullets a long time ago, so I'm okay, but many of you aren't. Primers are, in particular, are getting very hard to find right now. So again, plan ahead for the next crisis so that you've got a good stock of that stuff on hand. But if you already get set up for reloading, go for it. If you're not set up and you can find some components, some of the local stores still may have some. Now's a good time to get into it. Presses are affordable, and it didn't used to be real economical to reload 9mm. 13 cents a round roughly to reload it, 16 to 17 cents a round to buy it. Is it worth that extra $40 a thousand to roll your own? That maybe, if you're just getting into it, it's hard to justify. 380, 40 caliber, 45 automatic, 10mm, all of those, it was definitely worth your while to still reload, even when ammunition was more plentiful and less expensive. I don't reload rifle calibers, so I can't talk to you about how it is on that, but I'm presuming that it was also equally economical to reload some of the major calibers, maybe not so much 223, but some of the others. And finally, one thing that you can definitely do while you're home, binge watch Riders Range. We got more than 70 videos up right now. If you haven't watched all of them, go for it. Helps us out in the analytics too if you play them all the way through. If you watch the first 2 minutes and cut it off, I know 18-minute videos sometimes get a little tedious for some people to watch, but if that's the case, cue it up, let it play through, go do something else. But it helps our analytics if you watch them all the way through. So those are things that you can do. What are we doing here at Riders Range? Well, I mentioned reloading, so let's see if I can move the camera around here without messing things up too badly. And we are reloading. I've already loaded up a whole bunch of 9s. I'm working on 45s right now. I've got some more 9s and 380s over there. We're not really hurting for powder. I've got some more under the bench, and can't say that I'm hurting for primers at this point. So we'll be reloading. In fact, a friend and I just went in half and half on a 3-case order of 9mm bullets. That's going to give us probably 5,000 and change each. And yeah, I've got enough primers to make those happen. So we're reloading. I'm also working more on my inventory. And we're doing a photo inventory, as I said before, and all the hard copies. I got to do a little catch up on that. I still got to clean the cave. It is kind of a mess down here because I've been so busy. Actually, the February and the first 3 weeks of March are always my busiest time. That's why I haven't done a lot in the way of videos. But as you can see, I'm getting ready to do the Dan Wesson ECO 9mm versus the Ruger officer size 9mm. I've done the range footage on that. I've got to do the tabletop. Got a couple others going, and let's set the camera back down and see what else we have going here. Let's see. I've done some range video on the Remington 870 Tactical. I've got some raw footage on CZ Rami as well as the A01 LD. I'll see if I can get those finished up. I want to compare the P01. I just got back having it Cajunized, and I want to put that side by side with the Wilson EDC X9. Different guns, but a lot of similarities there. Let's see, we have videos coming up on several holsters. The final video in the 1911 series, after we do the ECO and the Ruger here, will be Kimber Ultra and the STI Electra. So those are going to be coming up shortly. I want to do a series on pocket guns. I've got several shotguns, tactical, field, and as well as trap that I'll be testing over the next few months. Let's see. I got a series coming up on safety, personal safety, hearing, vision, etc. Lots of from the safe to the range. Got a lot of those to come, so it's just a matter now that I've got some time to put some of this stuff together. So we're going to be busy working on videos. I still am working from home, so I still have to pay attention to the needs of my community and make all of that happen over the next 3 weeks or so while we're here. No kids at home to homeschool, so I'm not really worried about that. So we've got stuff to do. What would you like to see? What would you like to see Riders Range do? Any particular guns you'd like to see us review? Any topics you'd like to see us cover? Put it in the comments down below. Or send us an email to info@ridersrange.com. Oh, one other thing I didn't mention. We did a series, a video a while back on working on hand strength, and we showed this particular hand strength device where you can work your trigger finger independently of your grip. Picked up one that has a laser on it. I'll be doing a quick update of that video with the laser model, so you can work on your trigger control and separating your trigger finger from the rest of your gripping fingers. That's really about it from here. So if you like Riders Range videos, please hit the like button, share them, let your friends know what's happening. We're still creeping up in the subscribership, right about on track for where I expected to be, coming up on our first anniversary the end of May. So by all means, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and hit the notifications button so you know what's coming out next, and comment on anything that you want. We really do appreciate comments, good, bad, or otherwise. Just let us know. This is a family channel, so keep the comments clean. We do appreciate it. So that's it from the cave at Riders Range. More videos to come. Stay safe, and thanks for visiting Riders Range.